Hi friends, I'm Quenby Gallahan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist here in the state of California. I've been a therapist here for well over a decade, and this channel, The Grateful Therapist, is all about mental health, counseling tips, and personal growth. So please be sure you are subscribed with that little bell turned on so that you get a notification when another video comes out. In today's video, I want to focus on how I, as a therapist, help kids to change their negative thoughts. In this video, I'll talk about my thinking behind my interventions and the dialogue, how it might sound between myself and a client, and then I'll share with you a simple activity that I do with kids to help them identify their thoughts, check them out, and come up with more helpful thoughts. So this video is great for you if you work as a counselor or in mental health in some way with kids or in a mentoring capacity, or maybe you are a parent or someone who cares about a kid and you notice that their thinking is pretty self-critical or negative or pessimistic, and you want to learn more about how you might help out. I hope you find something in this video helpful. So one day a week, I work at an elementary school as a psychotherapist. I see kids that otherwise wouldn't have access to therapy. So these are kids between the ages of about 6 and 11, elementary school age. And I was working with a student recently, she's 10, and as I was listening to her talk, I realized that she had some really self-critical, negative thoughts about herself. And one of my jobs as a therapist is to listen to people's thoughts and beliefs and their stories about themselves or their personal narrative. And I'm paying attention to how they're talking to themselves, to their self-talk. When we have thoughts, our group of thoughts create our beliefs about ourselves and the world. Our thoughts create our belief system, and we filter everything through our mind, through our thoughts and beliefs. And so it really does affect how you feel about yourself, how you behave, and your mood. So when I was at the elementary school, I was listening to one of my clients who's 10, and I realized that she had some really negative, critical thoughts about herself, and those were affecting her self-esteem and her self-confidence. So in this video, I'll be focusing on the elementary school age kids, but honestly, this is the work I'd be doing with teens and adults as well. I might just change up my language a little bit or the activity that I'm doing. But really the work applies to anyone of any age. The first step in this work is to teach a child how to identify, how to catch it when they're having a negative, unhelpful thought. So I would just point it out. So in the case with this student I was working with, I might say, whoa, I just heard you say that you stink and nobody likes you. And usually the client would be like, yeah, that's what I said. And I'll be like, that sounds like such a harsh thought. What do you think about that? And they might say, yeah, I think it does sound kind of mean. And I'd be like, exactly. It's kind of a mean thought that you're having there about yourself. So that's helping them catch that thought and just begin to identify the negative, hurtful thoughts they have running in their mind. And it's really normal. Most of us have these monkey minds that are running with thoughts all day long. And often we don't ever stop and just pause for a minute to notice what the thoughts are and how they're contributing to how we feel and act. So this is a really important first step, just to teach them to notice that they're having this hurtful thought, I stink and nobody likes me. The second step that I'm trying to do with kids is once we identify that there's this negative thinking pattern that they have, we want to kind of challenge that thought. We want to check it out. And so I might say so you think that everyone doesn't like you and everyone thinks you stink, is that true? And they might say in the beginning, yeah, I think it is. And I'll say, oh, okay, it's true. So then we're going to try and look for evidence to challenge that thought and see, is it really true? So I might ask them, well, is it true that nobody likes you? And they'd be like, well, sort of. Okay, well, let's think of, is there anyone that does like you? I mean, I like you. And they'd be like, yeah, you like me. And I do have this one friend, her name is Emma, and we play together at recess, and I really trust her, and I think she likes me. oh, okay, so Quemby likes you, your counselor, and your friend Emma, and we might go on like that for a little bit, and then I'd say, so is it true that nobody likes you? Well, I guess it's not true that nobody likes me. Exactly, so we've just kind of poked holes in that thought, we've challenged it. It's not true that nobody likes you. And then the third step is to help a kid, once they've identified the negative thought and challenged it, say, no, it's not true. What is a more helpful thought? What is a thought that's true that you buy into and it's actually a more helpful thought? This isn't just about positive thinking. It's kind of about what is true and what is real, and teaching kids that not everything that goes through their mind is true. Sometimes the mind's just going. And if we slow down, we realize, hey, we're saying some things to ourselves, our self-talk in our mind, that's not true and not helpful. So we're almost being like a researcher or a detective with kids to find truer thoughts, to replace those negative thoughts with more true thoughts. So you have to make sure it's a thought that they can actually buy into. So I might say to my client, well, so it's not true that nobody likes you. What is true? And she might say, well, I don't know. Okay, well, let's take a look at it. When we were kind of digging in to check out this thought to see if it was true, we realized you've got quite a few friends and quite a few adults. She's like, yeah, that's true. So what might you say instead of nobody likes me? Well, I might say, I've got some friends at school and a really good counselor. And I'd say, exactly. So next time you have this thought, I stink, nobody likes me, you're going to catch it and say, actually, that's not true. I've got a few really good friends at school. So often when I'm working with little kids, they don't want to sit and talk for a 50-minute session like my adults want to. So I'm always trying to think up creative activities to do to complement the work that we're doing in counseling. It can be games. A lot of therapists find ways to play games. I choose to do a lot of art with my clients. I'm not a registered art therapist, but I have studied some art therapy. I've taken courses in something called trauma-informed art therapy, and I use these art activities a lot with kids. So the activity I'm going to show you today that I'm doing with the student I've used as an example in today's video is using these cards. So I took a cardstock paper and I cut out this shape, kind of like a tag here, and I put one of these rings through it. If you don't have the rings, you can just put a hole with a hole puncher and tie a ribbon through it, or you can use a stapler. And you can make these cards any shape and size you want. But what we're doing with these cards is, on one side, we're gonna write the negative thought. So I'll go through, so what was that negative thought? In this case, it was, I stink, nobody likes me. Okay, so we've talked through that. Now we're gonna make these cards as reminders. And whenever we make some art around something, we use words and images. We're just solidifying a new thought pattern, a new way of thinking. So the negative thought goes on the back, and then on the front of the card, you can have your new positive thought that you're working on. I have several good friends. I am liked by several people at school. Whatever it is that fits for the client, and I like to talk about it because when it comes out of their mouth and they practice saying it, that's when it's most helpful. And I like to decorate it with stickers, markers, stamps, anything that you have, just to make it more fun. And then I have this in their folder, and each time they come in, if I catch them with a different negative thought, we're gonna go through this again. We're gonna identify the negative thought, we're gonna check it out and see if it's true, we're gonna replace it with a more helpful thought, and then we're gonna solidify it with some type of art activity, something that they can take with them. So I hope this video was helpful to you in some ways. Again, there's many ways to work with changing negative, unhelpful thoughts. This is just one way that I work with kids that's easy and simple and very effective. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Please also let me know what other videos that I can make for you that would be helpful. And if you've had any success in your own life working with these kinds of thoughts or working with clients with them. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you next time.